Welcome to my first YouTube channel here on Empress Jasmine. My name is Jasmine. I have not brainstormed enough about a intro to go to all of my YouTube videos, so I'm just gonna jump into what we're talking about today. In this video, I have my notes, so that's the noise you are hearing. So today we are going to talk about some shadow work I did in my old journal. I'm going to read you a journal entry of said shadow work, and that surrounded a lot of self-analysis and accountability about my previous emotional state and how I used to let my emotions control my responses, the decisions I made, and the words that I spoke. So I feel like everybody could relate. 2022 was a crazy year, and for me, I suffered two major relationship losses. The first one was a romantic relationship, and the second was a platonic relationship. And looking back at that point in time, everybody had more control over my emotional state than I did. At that point, I had no idea that I had the power to regulate my own emotions, let alone how to even do that. And I let my emotions speak for me, and I did not know, as I do now, that your emotions are only a very temporary reality to your reaction to a situation, something that has triggered you, that your emotions are not you. I let my emotions encompass me, and that is what I wrote about. So I'm gonna read to you most of this journal entry. I'm going to leave out what I do not want to say, for privacy reasons. I'm also going to leave out names. So if I'm talking about the romantic relationship, then I will say relationship. And if I am talking about friendships, I'm going to talk about friendships. Really quickly, before I even get into this, I wrote this journal entry when I realized that the people that I met after those relationships disintegrated, they were all mirrors. They were either mirrors of me and my behavior, or they were mirrors of the other person involved into the situation. So hopefully that is a good enough recap so that this doesn't sound too confusing. But like I said, I will be censoring for privacy reasons. But let's get into reading. This journal entry was called Shadow Work Honesty, and I wrote this on 10/19/2022. I remember us talking about we have been met with situations that mirror the two biggest heartbreaks we've encountered with the end of the romantic relationship and friendship relationship. I am now seeing the pattern within myself of only being concerned with my own negative emotions. I get so involved with how the situation impacts me that my judgment gets clouded and I excuse my unacceptable behavior, masking it as I am hurt, you hurt me, or don't invalidate my feelings. I am beginning to see the flaws in my tendencies to act that way. It's like I am completely blinded by how my dramaticness is hurting the other person, even if both people in that situation did their wrongs. I'll say some really hurtful things that I would find unacceptable and really disrespectful if they were coming towards me, but for whatever reason it is okay that I say it to them just because my feelings are hurt. It's not okay. I see now that until I properly receive the correct message and learn the right lessons, the same situations will repeat themselves until I learn my lesson. Although I have matured emotionally since then and throughout 2022, that does not mean that I have found the key and learned all of the lessons. I need to work on balancing how to validate and honor my emotions and morals while still being fair to the other person. I seem to have avoidant tendencies. I know that you don't necessarily need the other person present to heal and do personal work, but I am looking for solutions from what I already know. I will keep being presented with similar circumstances to what happened until I prove myself to spirit, to my ancestors, to the universe, that I have learned my lesson and know what decisions to make when faced with said circumstances. Despite my mistakes, misjudgment, and wrongs, I still will acknowledge the work I have been doing. I am not proud of the hurt I have caused others, but I am forever thankful for what I have learned and will continue to learn. I will acknowledge this work I am doing now as I write. Despite how badly I want to write down what makes me feel good and look good and makes me feel better, I am writing what needs to be said, trying to keep my emotions uninvolved. Spirit, I ask you to please relay my apologies to those I have hurt unintentionally. Spirit, I ask you to continue to guide me towards my highest good, the me of immense emotional intelligence, maturity, and ability to empathize with others even when I am negatively emotionally elevated. Thank you so much. Jasmine, I am so proud of you. Despite our admittance of our wrongs, we still have a path to walk and blessings to receive that we still deserve. Stay focused, do your work. I love you. I will be looking back and forth to my notes because now that I've read this journal entry, I'm going to wrap it up for a self-analysis to present for you to use for yourself. Okay, so I'm sorry if looking at you, looking down, just use your ears, you know what I'm saying? Okay. When you are dealing with somebody who is not as emotionally, mentally, or spiritually at the level of maturity that you reside at, you need to prepare yourself for an immense amount of projection and a large amount of determination to misunderstand you. I would say that in preparing yourself, you're gonna find that you will be extending grace towards that person for their misunderstanding. Okay? Because when you are trying to get somebody who is not even on the same playing field as you, when you're trying to get them to understand you, your point of view, everything that you're saying, in that particular point in time, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because their current inability to receive the information that you are providing them is a very important piece in their personal evolution. Because one day after whatever happened, whatever blow up, whatever no contact, you apply it to yourself. Whether that is days, weeks, months, or years later, they will be coming to a full circle moment of understanding. And when I say that, I am assuming that that person is growing. And my outlook definition of growing is forward movement, upward movement, and personal betterment. Okay, so yeah, they'll come to a full circle moment and then things will become clear to them. But it's only going to be in divine timing, only in perfect timing. So with this in mind, it will make sense. They don't understand this now because they are not supposed to understand it now. And that is very, very okay. Once they get to that point, they will come to the understanding of everything that you meant. They're going to know exactly why you did what you did, why you said what you said, why you were so frustrated with them that they weren't understanding you. But they will also come to see how their own actions were unacceptable, and they're going to be able to make moves for the future to not do that anymore. So another thing that I did for myself was I did not stall my own healing progress waiting for or expecting outward forgiveness. Okay, I knew that with the platonic relationship that ended for me, we were both at that point and still to this day no contact with each other. So I could not put my own progression on hold just because that person wasn't available to me to see my changes and my growth in that moment on October 19th, 2022, when I came to the realization I was wrong for my wrongs. So I had to acknowledge my own realizations, the realizations that I came to. I had to extend an apology to myself, and I had to grace myself with my own forgiveness and move on and continue on. Because every word I chose to use, the choices I made, the decisions I made, all of it that all had everything to do with me. No matter what angle I looked at it, the angle me now healing, then when I was triggered, it was all me. Everything that I did was only up to me. And with that, I saw that looking for external acceptance and external validation, forgiveness would have only soothed me temporarily. Because as long as I was still disappointed in myself, embarrassed with myself, upset with what I did, I would still have negative emotions towards myself. So being told by somebody else, I forgive you, it's only cool, it's great, amazing, and that forgiveness is usually the best for you, for that person. You forgiving somebody else is for you. Somebody forgiving you is for them. You need to still work on your own forgiveness for myself. So that is what I had to do. I asked Spirit, as you heard, to extend my apologies outward to those that I hurt, those people who I was in no contact with. Everyone I was in no contact with, I extended those apologies out through the channel of my spirit team, my guides, and then I released it. In closing, I will say this: in any situation you are involved in, every word you say, every decision you make, every choice you make only has to do with you, just as what somebody else does only has to do with them. And in the moment, in the middle of a situation, it is going to be difficult to remember that. It is going to be difficult to recognize that, because you're both determined to be understood without understanding, and you're both going to be listening to respond, not to hear and absorb and like I said, understand. So with this shadow work, personal accountability, and with personal truthfulness that is not sugar-coated, you're only going to be met with inevitable change. Whether it is a conscious change or a subconscious change, it's going to happen no matter what. And with practice, you're going to be able to catch yourself in the moment if you are finding yourself to exhibit behaviors that remind you of a karmic cycle or a toxic triggered cycle that you do not want to do anymore. But as of right now, okay, be gracious with yourself. If you lash out in an emotional way, you let your emotions respond for you, be gracious to yourself, because if you are here right now with me, that means you are actively learning and you are actively trying to change. Okay? So please use this self-analysis, everything that I've said, the journal entry that I read, use that for your own advantage wherever it applies. Okay? Use it, rewatch this as many times. This vulnerability, I've been called, it has been divinely put on my soul, on my spirit, to share what I have learned. So that's what I'm doing. Wow, first video done. Thank you for watching. Make sure you go check out my podcast. As of today, episode 1 is out. Episode 2 is coming out on Sunday. It's going to be a weekly podcast every Sunday. I don't think I've ever said that, so that's me saying that right now. And again, thank you for watching. I hope this has helped you or is in the path of helping you. Okay, bye.